Hello, hello, welcome to Season 5 of House Play D&D, the explainer podcast with one experienced dungeon master and one failed scriptwriter to discuss D&D topics. My name is Connor Kinsey, and my ridiculously inadequate but illustrious guest this week, I've gone into my old script, is Lucas Hall. Hello, Lucas Hall.
Hello. I don't know how to
You're not
feel what we call
inadequate. I
inadequate.
love
No,
you.
joking.
You're not inadequate. I love
I
you.
love it. I love it. It's fine. I can take it. Yeah, I've
Sorry,
got
yeah.
a thick skin.
I like read, it's not even there. I just went into like autopilot of knowing it and then
It's muscle
adding the
memory,
new
mate.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a compliment and putting you down at the same time. You should just like playground flirting, you know?
It is playground, but yeah.
Yeah.
Treat them mean, keep them keen. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
it. Right. This season we're doing things slightly different. Our guests have selected an enemy from a list that I've supplied, and they're going to educate us as to why we should use these creatures. And of course, I will interrogate. So, Lucas, think this of like, do you remember Room 101 where
Yeah, I love
bring to the
this.
table and tell me why you hate it? You're going to bring something to the table and tell me why people should use it,
I
and
should use it,
and then
absolutely.
hopefully convince me into using the Umber Hulk whilst people learn. There
All
we go.
right.
Cool.
Convince you to use an Umber Hulk. Great.
Yeah, so the episode is on Umber Hulks. Let's get to it. Okay, so today's episode is on Umber Hulks. Umber Hulks, it's an earwig on steroids, a buggier version of Rhino from Spider-Man, and the bully who wouldn't leave you alone in school. Luke, I've managed to find myself in a play pit full of gelatinous cubes, except they're cubes full of cum. Do I wade through or do I talk to my therapist? What am I doing?
I mean, the smart move is to talk to a therapist, but you might get that nat 20 way through it. Why not? Yeah.
I wouldn't if I got a nat 20, I wouldn't be wading, I'm telling you that.
Be able to walk on cum. That
There's
sounds
an
good.
extra
Yeah.
gelatinous cube in that plate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Serious notes. Why did you pick the Umber Hulk?
Well, I picked the Umber Hulk mostly because it was the first enemy I threw at my long-term campaign, and it was
Yeah.
it's their first enemy they actually had to think about.
Yeah.
To be honest, is the big so it holds a little place in my heart because of that, and how freaked out I got my players for a week when I told them they had to read their character sheets.
You know what? Immediately when you said it's the first enemy that they had to like think about, there's if there's the one listener that listens to this podcast going, "Oh shit, I feel that." Like,
Yeah,
yeah, everyone's been there. Like,
100%. We've all had an enemy where we're like, oh no, wait, hold on.
yeah,
Um, But yeah, I love them. I think one, as a DM, they are to some degree fairly easy to run. To be fair, they have a multi attack of like two claws and a bite attack, which do a fair chunk of damage. I mean, they're CR5, so like you can. I'm trying to think. I think my party were like level 4 when I threw them at
mm,
when I threw it at them. So it's not too tough in some respects. So for you, it's fairly easy to run that. But the one thing that they do is completely punish players and characters who have charisma as their dump stat, which
yeah,
is always perfect. Because of that confusing gaze of theirs, I think it's called.
yeah.
Um, where obviously if you look at them, you're going to get incapacitated and frightened, which is great. So then you can't act. So you either have to fight completely blind or find a interesting way to come around them. So I think that's what I love about them. Also, just because they can tunnel wherever they want, and even solid rock is just difficult terrain for them, so they can pretty much get away if you want them to, which is always
Easy.
fantastic.
Yeah, that means they can naturally just turn up, right? Like
Oh,
it's not
yeah.
odd that they could appear out of nowhere.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the benefits of it is literally having them spring out of the ground when players walk over them and don't know that they're there. It's the the best part of them, really.
How do you, I mean, off topic here, but how do
Yeah,
you, when, if they are blind fighting, are you making them roll disadvantage for their swings?
absolutely. Unless they give me a really creative way that they're doing something,
Yeah,
um, then absolutely, I will make them roll disadvantage at swinging at them, and obviously the Umber Hulk, though they can't technically see themselves, so I guess they get. Yeah, they get advantage on it
yeah.
if they're fighting blind, which is interesting. I mean, when my guys first tried to face one, they tried to run away and get away from it. Unfortunately for them, it has tremor sense, which means it can pretty much follow where they're going.
Yeah.
Although it did give an interesting thing where one of my party members tried to use thaumaturgy fairly interestingly of making rumbles in the ground to get it to go away that way.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, it was fairly creative. The only letdown was another player decided to run, so it was going for the
Oh,
consistent running noise as opposed to the intermittent noise over there.
do you know what? That's the
Um,
most realistic outcome. That you go, I've got a really smart idea, and someone goes,
yep.
fuck this, and just
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Cool. What kind of stats does an Umber Hulk have? So you just said it has, like two
Yeah.
core attacks and a bite.
Yeah.
Uh, what else does it have? What's its AC? What's its HP? Do you have anything up?
Yeah, so AC wise, they've got an armor class of 18 because they've obviously got natural armor because
Yeah.
they're more insectoid really than anything. So they've got like a
Mm.
beetle shell to be fair. They're great to look at as well. They're a creepy thing to to see. No offense to any Umber Hulks listening.
Yeah.
Um,
Full
hit point
offense.
wise, I know,
Full
yeah, full
offense.
offense, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit point wise, they're on about, I think it's about 93. Yeah, 93 HP. So they're, depending what level you're giving them to the party, they're not too bad to chunk away at if you can hit them.
Mm.
Um, things like they can burrow for 20 feet and their speed is 30, like most standard creatures. Um, but yeah, I think the thing that sets them a little bit apart in some respects, even though being, harder to hit, but having a decent amount of health, is they've got like 120 feet of dark vision, means they can see you before you can see them. The tremor sense as well, which is great because
Yeah.
it will give away anything going on. And then I think the best thing for them is that confusing gaze that they have, which is that if you start your turn within 30 feet and you're directly looking at the Umber Hulk in its eyes, so you can fight it from behind and get around it,
Mm.
but you have to make that DC 15 charisma saving throw or you're capacitated, which absolutely sucks when you're just stood there waiting to take your turn, really.
100%.
Um,
It
so
is. It's
yeah,
definitely a creature that makes you have to think tactically. Like
yeah,
regardless, you can all go in swinging as a party full of fighters,
100%.
fine, and that's fine. But
Yeah,
it's not as easy as you think. You can't just go in and
no.
wipe out and walk away, and that's nice.
Yeah, that's it really. I think it's one of those because I know not every DM likes an Umber Hulk. I was reading some things actually earlier about it where a few DMs were like, "Oh, they're really boring to run as a DM." But the thing is, I think is they're exciting for the player because it makes you think
Yeah.
way differently. And I
Mm.
think for me as a DM, I like seeing how my players do those challenges because it gives me
Yeah.
information for when I want to use a different monster normally. I want to terrorize them with something else.
Umber Hulk
Um,
2.0.
yeah, literally, yeah. The Ultra Umber Hulk.
Yeah.
But I know when I was running it, something that helped me was I think there's a book that a few DMs might know, but equally, if you're just starting out as a DM, there's a book called The Monsters Know What They're Doing, which is great for giving like tactics and stuff that you might not think about and you don't get in depth on the just the stat block. And they've got a website and someone had asked them to do Umber Hulk. So I remember reading it, which gave those bits and pieces about like using that glare, remembering to put it on. But equally, some of those tactics around actually, if an Umber Hulk gets down to around 37 to about a third of its health, it's more than likely probably going to Scarper, recollect, then come back and get the party again. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
one of those things where it just gives you a few hints and tips and bits and pieces like that. But I know if that helped for me because I was like, yeah, that does make sense that it would when he gets a certain amount of health, bugger off for a bit, go burrow underground, collect himself, and then come back up later for the party to finish him off, more than likely.
When they're resting. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Yeah, naturally. Yeah.
Um, how well you kind of answered the next question, but how does a DM use Umber Hulks in their game? Think about a new DM though, like
Yeah.
what's a good moment for a new DM sees the monster manual, sees the Umber Hulk.
Yeah.
Is it right to put that in for the first time?
So generally, because they are sort of technically horrors from the depths of the earth, any kind of like cave complex, dungeon. I mean, the Underdark is kind of the best place, I
Yeah.
guess, in sort of settlements and bits and pieces like that. But I know when I ran it, it was there. My guys were going through a cave system, and it was I wanted to give them a before they were going up to the sort of big bad of that arc. I wanted to give them a stronger creature that they had to face off first, so they could know understand their character sheets to move on then to something they had to think even more about. So I think if you're running anything and you're struggling for like a CR5 roughly monster, for parties between sort of 4 to 6 probably, and you're going through a cave system, it kind of naturally makes sense. when I did it, I had two of them that were doing kind of pincer movements to basically to trap the party. The party didn't fall for that, unfortunately, but hey, it was an idea. So you can do things like that where you're using them sort of in packs to a degree.
Mm.
Probably no more than two, roughly, just from how the creatures are sort of described. But it's up to you. It's your campaign. You can make it whatever you want in your world. That's the beauty of it. But yeah, but any kind of dungeon and stuff, if you want something a little bit harder for people to think about, definitely throw one at your players. It makes the most sense.
Nice, nice. Well, I was gonna say, can you give an example of when you used or encountered one? But you have given
Yeah,
an example of using one.
the
Have
whole
you
time.
encountered one as a player?
I haven't encountered one as a player, actually. This is
No.
a challenge for any DMs that run games for me now. Give me an Umber Hulk.
I'll be running a one shot and it's just Umber. Everyone you look at is an Umber Hulk.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
all right, last question then. What is your least favorite enemy in D&D?
Oh, what's my least favorite? Oh God.
Yeah, like maybe it's what you've played, maybe it's what you've actually ran as a DM. Like,
Hmm.
what is it that when that comes up, you go, oh no, yeah, not that.
Do you know what? When I was running a game, I was running a one shot for some people not long ago, and they were in a cursed village, and I had them before they faced off against a homebrew monster that I'd made. There was a lot of specters in the village, and the fact that they not only obviously give you necrotic damage and drain your health, they actually decrease your hit point maximum. There was a few moments as a DM where I got someone down to, I think, from about 50 HP down to their max HP being about 12, and this was the barbarian. I was like, "Oh, like, oh
Yeah,
no!" Uh,
yeah. Your
so
walking tank is no more.
yeah, I was very generous and gave them essentially the benefits of a long rest with a short rest because it was a one shot. So I was like,
Yeah,
that's fine. I want them to have their whole kit to go and fight the big monster, so they can get the benefits of it. But yeah, actually having those do that and having a few of them around and popping up, as much as it was good for a story wise and to give them a bit of peek into some of the bits that happened in the village, decreasing the hit point maximum significantly was a bit of a moment of like, I'm gonna TPK this one shot.
yeah. And you know, a barbarian was like, I can take it, and then just
Yeah, oh yeah.
falling for it. Yeah, yeah.
The first moment they were like, "Well, I halve all damage." It's like, no, this is necrotic, mate. Sorry. So yeah, so it's I think that gave me the moment of like, oh no. So as a lower level creature, I suppose it does a hefty amount to somebody. So yeah, that's probably my least favorite at the
Yeah.
moment, just because of the trauma of that being fairly recent.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, yeah, thank you very much.
No worries.
Today's adventure is sadly coming to a close. We'll be back in next week with a topic. Are the Wizards of the Coast white, grey, brown, or blue wizards? And are they woke enough? And as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you'd like to join in on the D&D action, then please follow us on Instagram at HousePlayDND or check out the link in our bio to join our Discord server. Would you like to say where we can find your work, Luke?
Absolutely, you can find me on Instagram at nomadicbard93.
Nice, and we'll put the links in the podcast bio.
Amazing.
I've been Connor Kinsey.
I've been Lucas Hall.
Good day.